Hi guys, so this is our last YouTube video for the class. It might be my last YouTube video ever if I never take another class in which I do YouTube videos. It may be the last one I ever make, and today we of course are talking about our grammar rules. The one I'm going to be discussing, as I mentioned in my first video about the grammar rules, the last one I'm covering is the difference between was and were, the words was and were, and how to properly use them in a sentence, because it is more complicated than you think. So diving right in, was and were are both past tense. A very good tip is that were refers to multiple entities, whereas was refers to a single entity. Now let me break that down for you. Were refers to multiple entities, an example being, we were in the same class, meaning myself and at least one or more people was in the same class. We were in the same class is how that sentence is correctly used. However, was refers to a single entity. I was in the same class as her, being the example. The reason we use was is because I is a single entity. It's just me. Now, this would be the end of the video if it always followed the rules of were being referring to multiple entities and was referring to a single entity, but there are lots of sentences that break these rules. One that comes right off the top of my head is, you were supposed to be there. You is a single entity, but the proper way of saying that sentence is, you were supposed to be there, not you was supposed to be there. It is you were supposed to be there, despite you referring to one entity, being the person. This has to do with the passive singular and the passive plural use of the words. That sounds a little complicated. Let me break it down with an example real quick, and then I'll talk a bit more about the singular and the passive plural use of the words. So an example being, the birthday party was successful as all the kids had fun. Now the reason I used was in that sentence and not were isn't because there were multiple kids, it's because I'm talking about the birthday party, and there was only one party, one entity, so we use was. Let me say that sentence again, remembering that we're talking about the party and not the multiple kids, and that's why we use was. The birthday party was successful as all the kids had fun. So again, there are multiple children, but we're talking about the party, and so we use the word was. We use were as the past tense subjective for the present tense to be. That sounds a little confusing, but honestly, some very good examples of it are song titles that I just kind of thought of as soon as I heard of If I Were. I thought of Beyonce's If I Were a Boy is the correct way, not if I was a boy, if I were a boy. And I also thought of Fiddler on the Roof's If I Were a Rich Man, which I'll post along with this video just because why not? I love that movie, and it's proper grammar. If I were a rich man, not if I was a rich man. Even though both sound like they could be correct, it is were because it's the past tense for the present tense to be. So if Beyonce, say, were my sister, I could say the sentence, if she were a boy, we would be brothers. If she were a boy, we would be brothers, not if she was a boy. Even though if she was a boy may sound correct, it's not. It's if she were a boy in the present tense. If she were a boy, we would be brothers. So that's the best ways I can think of to describe was and were. Again, both are past tense. Were refers to multiple entities, whereas was refers to one entity. Keep making that mistake. But there are sentences that break these rules, and so those are the sentences when you simply have to think about, are we mentioning which noun in the sentence are we referring to? Again, the party is one party as opposed to the multiple children. So that is my final video on the differences between was and were. I hope it helped at least a little bit. Honestly, I learned a lot about was and were today just because I wasn't sure if the song If I Were a Rich Man, for instance, was correct until I did research today and found out that it was. And also, this video is very confusing because I keep saying were and was in my normal sentences, and I didn't want to hold up pieces of paper because that didn't work too well the last time. So thank you for putting up with my rambling, and thank you for putting up with all of my videos because we're done. Congrats, you guys, and I hope to enjoy seeing more of your videos of this week, but I'm also definitely looking forward to wrapping up our third projects, honestly, is what I'm very excited about this week. I'm almost done with mine, but I know that a lot of you guys have been working very hard, and this is definitely a project that it's been fun to follow people with. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and I hope to work with you all again. Bye.